Dear Patriots, before the news starts, please subscribe to our patriotic channel by clicking the subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up to this video. Don't forget to leave your opinion below in the comments section. Share the news on Facebook and Twitter so you friends see it. Thank you.
Trump aide debunks his own quote in a new Lib book claiming that Trump wanted to lose the election. New York Magazine released an article called "Donald Trump Didn't Want to Be President." 1 year ago, the plan to lose, and the administration's shocked first days. By MICHAEL WOLFF. This was taken from the book Fire and Fury, Inside the Trump White House, which will be released on January 9. Obviously, the premise is ridiculous. Why would he campaign so hard, or even run at all, if he didn't want to win? Former Trump campaign advisor Sam Nunberg was quoted in the book. The news network HLN brought in Nunberg to see if the quotes were accurate. Nunberg explained how they were twisted and taken out of context. Basically, Nunberg mentioned to Trump in 2014 that there is a small chance of him winning, and Trump said we won't come out of this badly, and, no matter what, we're going to have fun. The author took that to mean that Trump didn't want to win. No, it's not. Well, what I was telling Michael was a story, that in 2014 I was flying down with then Mr. Trump to New Orleans for the Southern Republican Leadership Conference, and we were discussing his run, and he had already told me he was planning on running. And what I said to him was, 100 years from now nobody is going to remember if you don't win the primary or the presidency, who ran. Frankly, nobody is gonna remember who was the president, he explained. Twitter forces Sheriff David Clarke to delete epic tweet exposing the lying lib media. Twitter has been trying their hardest to censor conservative voices. Except for President Trump, of course, because he is the main thing keeping them in business. However, they targeted Trump supporter and Blue Lives Matter supporter Sheriff David Clarke. Clarke has been under investigation for an incident with Dan Black, an airline passengers who accused the sheriff of abusively detaining him. The liberal media used this investigation to slander him. Clarke defended himself in a bold way, but then he got a message from Twitter who forced him to take his tweets down. Below are the deleted tweets. When lying lib media makes up fake news to smear me, the antidote is to go right at them. Punch them in the nose and make them taste their own blood. Nothing gets a bully like lying lib media's attention better than to give them a taste of their own blood. #never back down, tweeted Clarke. Twitter froze his account until he took that tweet down. But as soon as he got his account back, he wrote another epic tweet. I will not be intimidated into silence by lying lib media. I will not be intimidated by liberal hyper-partisan government hacks who weaponize government authority to go after people whose views they don't like. I will stand and fight for truth in what I believe is right. Join me, he tweeted. Clarke will not be stopped so easily. MSNBC tries to get Latino Trump supporters to apologize for their vote. It backfires in epic way. A year after President Trump was elected, MSNBC's Jacob Soboroff decided to interview Latinos who voted for Donald Trump to see if they regretted their decision. He must have regretted his decision. Liberals always get angry when a minority doesn't act the way they feel they should act. Oftentimes, minorities get attacked the most viciously by liberals when they choose to be conservative. Are you still happy with the way that you voted and the way that he's doing? Soboroff asked a Latino radio host. Yes, especially in the economy. We are growing at 3.1%, he responded. What surprised me most when I was here last time, so many of your listeners called in and said to me, it doesn't matter that I'm Latino. It doesn't matter that Donald Trump has insulted so many members of my race. I want to know, a year later, do people out there, do your listeners feel the same way? Asked Soboroff. I feel way better with this president than before he was president. I will vote for him again, said one Latino listener. I voted for Donald Trump, and at this point in my life I am not sorry. "I am very proud of Donald Trump to be my president," said a female Latino listener. CNN host asks what does it matter if they are biased in shocking rant. CNN used to deny that they bias no matter how glaringly obvious it was. Now, CNN host John King is arguing that it doesn't matter if they are biased. "It might be small, but we are making some progress." King was responding to a speech made by Steve Bannon calling out the media for being biased against Roy Moore. The Bezos Amazon Washington Post that dropped that dime on Donald Trump is the same Bezos Amazon Washington Post that dropped the dime this afternoon on Judge Roy Moore. Now, is that a coincidence? That's what I mean when I say opposition party, right? It's purely part of the apparatus of the Democratic Party. They don't make any bones about it. By the way, I don't mind it. I'll call them out every day, said Bannon. King responded, "I want to talk about the politics of that later, but right there. What does it matter? The Access Hollywood tape, he's talking about the Washington Post. That was Donald Trump, no one denies that was Donald Trump," said King. Donald Trump on that tape was talking about conduct that as if it happened felony sexual assault. What does it matter, who records you robbing the bank, whether liberal or conservative, an old person or a young person, gets that video and it's still you. In the case of this story, these women are quoted by name. What is that? Said King. Obviously, if it matters. If you hate someone, you will look at a situation in the worst way possible. If you like someone, you will see it in the best way. Trump's tape. Friends see it as a man being braggadocious, enemies see it as him admitting to sexual assault, which isn't true. Donna Brazile exposes shocking reason she feels responsible for Seth Rich's murder. Donna Brazile made headlines when she said that after Seth Rich's murder she closed her blinds in fear so snipers couldn't see her. This was a huge revelation because the liberal media tried to play off his death as a random accident. Many believe that his death had to do with him being a WikiLeaks informant, supplying information against Hillary. Brazile's claims gave credibility to these theories. In her book, Brazile also wrote that she felt responsibility for his death. She clarified what that meant in an interview with SiriusXM host Mark Thompson. Were the Russian involved, in your opinion? I know this hasn't been resolved yet, in Seth Rich's death? Yes, no, or I don't know? Asked Thompson. I don't know. I'm not part of the investigative team. But I can tell you this much, and thank you for asking about Seth. He was my child. I loved him. He worked in the voting rights division and I was the vice chair over that division. He was one of 2 staff people. I love him, I miss him. He was a patriot, and I hope to God we find out who murdered Seth Rich, said Brazile. You wrote in the book you feel responsible for his death, said Thompson. Because he was my child, responded Brazile. Okay, I understand, he answered. Mark, I have been in politics all my adult life. The only children I have are the children that I have hired. They're my children, explained Brazile. These stories are true. Louis C.K. confesses the disgusting things he did to women. Hollywood comedian Louis C.K. has been accused of sexual harassment by 5 different women. According to the accusations, he would tell women he was going to whip out his junk, and proceed to masturbate in front of them. Now, according to him, everything the accusers have said is true. I want to address the stories told to the New York Times by 5 women named Abby, Rebecca, Dana, Julia, who felt able to name themselves, and one who did not. These stories are true, he wrote in a confession. At the time, I said to myself that what I did was okay because I never showed a woman my DCK without asking first, which is also true. But what I learned later in life, too late, is that when you have power over another person, asking them to look at your DCK isn't a question. It's a predicament for them. The power I had over these women is that they admired me. And I wielded that power irresponsibly, he wrote. I have been remorseful of my actions. And I've tried to learn from them. And run from them. Now I'm aware of the extent of the impact of my actions. I learned yesterday the extent to which I left these women who admired me feeling badly about themselves and cautious around other men who would never have put them in that position, he wrote. I've brought pain to my family, my friends, my children and their mother. I have spent my long and lucky career talking and saying anything I want. I will now step back and take a long time to listen. Thank you for reading, he wrote.